everyone, and welcome back to my channel. We are closing in on the end of the year and there's not a whole lot of November left, so we're really getting down to the wire in terms of completing my yearly TBR. So I've been thinking a lot about what I want to read in the next month and a half, and I do still want to work on some of those books that I had talked about reading early on in the year, just because I like the sense of accomplishment of like checking the box if I read the books that I said I was going to. But I realistically don't know if every single book that was on that original, books that I want to read in 2025 list is going to be read, because I'm also a mood reader. And there also are some books that I've recently acquired that I'm really excited about that I want to incorporate into my reading over the next month and a half. So basically, I have a pretty ambitious end of the year TBR to share with you today. But if you look at my kind of average of how many books I've been reading per month, you'll kind of find that I've been reading between like 12 and 14, sometimes less, sometimes more, just depending on the month. But it doesn't feel super unreasonable to have 16 books on my TBR for the next month and a half. It may be a little unreasonable, but we'll see. But I just wanted to put this out there into the universe that I would like to read all of these books. So we'll see how far I get. But without further ado, let's jump into my end of the year TBR. Okay, starting off with one that I said I was going to read in 2025. This one is Rouge by Mona Awad. So at this point, I have read everything else by Mona Awad except for her very, very first book. I forget the title of it, but I will put it up here so you can see what I'm talking about. But everything that she's published after that, I have read except for this one. So this is a beauty-related horror book, which is kind of a subgenre of weird girl books that I've been wanting to get into, just because there are a few on my radar that sound really good that came out this past year, and then another one that's coming out in 2026. So I would love to be able to make a list of recommendations about beauty-related horror slash beauty-related kind of weird girl books. And I think that this would be a really good basis for that. So I really want to read it. I also really want to read it because I have started working on some like author guides. I think at this point, one of them has probably been posted on my Instagram, so I will link my Instagram below, just a little plug for you. But I've been working on author guides of authors that I really like, that I have read basically all of their works that have been published. So this is one that I want to use for that project as well. I guess I didn't really mention this, but as I'm kind of going through my TBR, I'm kind of going to talk to you about what projects they're associated with, because part of my like end of the year TBR planning was thinking about what projects do I want to have done by the end of the year. And so that's kind of why I'm choosing the books that I'm choosing. So this one is for that author guide, but also for the beauty horror kind of situation to start that off. And because I said I was going to read it in 2025. So yeah, that is Rouge. Okay, next up is a book that I don't have a project associated with, but I bought it early in the year and I really wanted to read it this year and I didn't get to it. And it is Scaffolding by Lauren Elkin. So apparently this one follows a woman named Anna who is a psychoanalyst, and she finds herself unable to return to work following a miscarriage and a breakdown. Instead, she obsesses over a kitchen renovation and befriends a new neighbor, a younger woman called Clementine, who has just moved into the building and is part of a radical feminist collective. And then we jump back in time to the same apartment and we sort of hear about the things that were happening in the apartment in the past and in the present. And it's a really interesting concept because it reminds me a lot of the graphic novel and the movie Here, which shows the same place over thousands of years. And this is not that extreme, obviously, but it is that kind of idea of this one location and the people that have inhabited it, and where there are parallels between their lives. And this feels like a winter book to me for some reason. I don't really know why. I think just because it's more of a thoughtful and slow and quiet type of vibe. I've been reading just a lot of horror and weird woman books and things like that, and while that's been really fun, I think that like that is very fall to me, whereas as we're kind of moving into winter, I'm more open to those kind of more literary fiction, character study, thoughtful type of books. I don't know why it is with the seasons, but I guess just around spooky month, I just want fun thrillers and crazy horror books and things like that. So I'd really like to read this in the winter, and if I don't finish it this year, then possibly in January, but I would really like to get this read this year. I purchased it pretty early in the year in 2025 and thought I was going to read it immediately, and then as happens, other projects came before it and then I didn't read it. So I would really like to read this, though it's not necessarily for a specific project, which I suppose puts it on the back burner, unfortunately, but it sounds so good and it feels like such a good December read to me. So yeah, that is scaffolding. Speaking of another good winter read, I have The Blue Fox by Sijan. Don't really know how to pronounce his name. This book is by an Icelandic author and it is translated, and it's about a fox and it's set against the backdrop of an Icelandic winter. So it just seems like a really good book to read around Christmas time, and it's very short, so it shouldn't take me very long. I can just imagine sitting and reading this, like hanging out in my living room with the Christmas tree and a cup of tea, and it's just really cozy with some music on. That sounds ideal to me. And I have kind of a crazy little bit of time coming up, so it'll be really nice to relax and read something that is just cozy and sweet. And I've had this on my TBR, my physical TBR, forever. I've had it for years, and yeah, I just never have gotten around to it, even though I really like Icelandic literature so far. I just haven't gotten around to it. So I think that this will be a really fun one around Christmas time, and again, not for a project or anything, just something that has been on my shelf forever. And when the inspiration strikes me to read a book that has been on my shelf for a long time, I kind of want to take it, because otherwise I feel like if I try to force myself to read a backlist book, it doesn't always go well. So if I'm excited about it, that's a good sign. So that is The Blue Fox. Okay, I did say that I was kind of getting out of the thriller mode, but I do have two sort of thriller slash horror books that I am excited about that I got recently. The first one is Crafting for Sinners by Jenny Kiefer, or Kafir, I'm not sure. This one is about a woman who lives in a small religious town in Kentucky, and she's queer and she's in the closet, and when her boss finds out about her girlfriend, she gets fired from her job at a religiously funded craft store. And one day she decides to steal some yarn, and instead of getting the cops involved, the other employees lock her in the craft store and then start attacking her. So it sounds like just a wild premise, honestly, but I saw this one online somewhere like before it was released. I saw that it was coming out and I thought it just sounded super wild and crazy. So I am going to be taking this one on vacation with me because I think it'll be like just a fun, fast-paced book for, you know, sitting on the beach and enjoying that. Just a side note, I do think that when I go on vacation, I always bring a whole bunch of books and I feel like I never read all of them, but I think the type of book that you really need on vacation is something that is not going to be super difficult to focus on, just because there's gonna be people around, there's gonna be things going on, and if I have to like super laser focus on something to understand it, there's just too many distractions happening. At least that's the way I feel, possibly just with being a neurodivergent person. I think that if I have like any distractions, it becomes very difficult. And so if I'm reading something that's a little bit more fun and, you know, is gonna hold my attention really well, that is helpful when I'm on vacation in a different environment and there's other people around. So anyway, that's my thought process on why I'm bringing this one with me, but I do think that it's going to be a really fun read. And the other one is also sort of a religious horror novel, and it is This Is My Body by Lindsay King Miller. This is about a gay single mom, Bridget, who has cut ties with her extremist Catholic family, and when her daughter sort of starts behaving in a way that reminds her of another young woman who had an exorcism performed on her, she decides to go home to try to get some help from her old pastor, which she never thought she would do. And as she returns, she realizes that her and her daughter are really not safe. So I love religious horror and cult horror. I think that it's fascinating, and I just randomly saw this on a table display a little bit before Halloween, and I picked it up. So I do really want to read this because, again, I'm working on a project related to recommending religious horror books. So I think that this will be a really good addition to that. And yeah, I'd really like to read it so that I can give that recommendation at some point soon. So yeah, that is This Is My Body. Okay, the next category is just a bunch of short story collections. The first one is Peach Pit by many different authors, but edited by Molly Llewellyn and Crystal Buckley. I've talked about this several times. It is my most shameful book that I have not yet read, just because it came out at this point in 2023, I believe. And I have been following Molly Llewellyn on Instagram, on Bookstagram for a while, and kind of saw the whole process of her creating this book and editing it and putting it together. I purchased it and then never ended up reading it because because that was like pre-crazy reading slump. So I just have had this for a little bit and just have not read it. But it is one of the more shameful ones on my TBR because I have witnessed the process a little bit and was really excited about it and did not read it yet. So this is like number one priority of a short story collection to read before the end of the year. I'm also going to take this on vacation because I think that short story collections are a good fit for me personally on a vacation, because if I only have a few minutes, I can read, you know, one story and not feel like I lost my place or don't remember what's happening in between. So I think that that's a good choice for me personally for a vacation. So Peach Pit, I need to read it. I need to get it done before the end of the year. And the next 4 books that I have to show you are also short story collections. So I am working on a project related to short story collections, just so you know. So I need to read these 4 books probably in December. The first one is Out There by Kate Folk. This is a collection of stories by the author of Sky Daddy, which I read this year and really, really loved. I really don't know much about what this is about, but I knew that I wanted to read Kate Folk's other works because I loved her novel so much. So yeah, this is the only other thing that she has published that I know of. So the little blurb says, with a focus on the weird and eerie forces that lurk beneath the surface of ordinary experience, Out There holds a mirror to our subconscious fears and desires. Each story beats with its own fierce heart, and together they herald an exciting addition to the canon of speculative literary fiction. So it's interesting because this is a little bit different genre-wise than Sky Daddy, but I'm excited about it because I think that it's going to be really interesting to see what else Kate Folk can do, because I just haven't read anything else of hers besides that one book. So yeah, that is the first short story collection for a video that I'm sharing with you. Next up, we have Odd Body by Rose Keating. So there isn't really a description on the back of this, so I'm just gonna read it off of Goodreads. It says, in her debut collection, Rose Keating takes you on a bold journey through the intricacies of sex, shame, and womanhood. With 10 enchanting short stories, she crafts an emotional masterpiece that challenges us to reflect on the movement and needs of our bodies. Strange yet utterly mesmerizing, Odd Body is a provocative exploration that feels both surprising and sincerely authentic. So I saw that this one was coming out in August and I got really excited about it. It sounded really good. It's pretty short too, so it shouldn't take too long to read. And I love the cover so much that I had to pick it up when it was released. So yeah, very excited about this one. Next short story collection, we have Beyond All Reasonable Doubt, Jesus is Alive by Melissa Lozada Oliva. So the little blurb says, this collection, at once playful, grisly, and tender, presents a tapestry of women ailing for something to believe in, even if it hurts them. Using body horror, fabulism, and humor, the author mines the pain and uncanniness of the modern world. Reveling in the fine line between disgust and desire, Beyond All Reasonable Doubt, Jesus is Alive is for the sinner in us all. This was an anticipated release as well, and when I read the description, it just sounded so up my alley, and I was just captivated by the title and the cover as well. Incredible, incredible cover. So yeah, I was really excited about this one, and I'm hoping that it's going to be a really fun read. It sounds awesome. And then the final short story collection that I want to share with you is Cursed Bunny by Bora Chung. So I have had this on my radar for literally forever, I feel like. I had heard so many people talk about how great it was, but I had been a little bit afraid because it seemed like it was pretty intense horror-wise at the time, but now I've read so many weird books that I think are probably worse than this one in terms of horror and gore, so I think I'll be able to handle it. And also one of my best friends recently read it and told me that it was really good, so it kind of moved it up in my TBR at that point. But yeah, this is a collection of horror short stories and it is translated, and I'm very, very excited about this, especially because Bora Chung has released some other stuff since then, and if I really like this one, then I will have several other books of hers to read, which will be awesome. So yeah, that is the final short story collection that I'm hoping to read in 2025. So yeah, that is the final short story collection that I would like to read before the end of the year. Okay, let's talk about a couple of nonfiction things that I would like to read. The first of which is Saving 5 by Amanda Nguyen. So this is a memoir, and it talks about how the trajectory of Nguyen's life was changed forever after she was assaulted at Harvard. The description says, determined not to let her assault derail her goal of joining NASA after graduation, Nguyen opted for her rape kit to be filed under Jane Doe, but she was shocked to learn that her choice to stay anonymous gave her only 6 months to press charges before the state destroyed her kit, rendering any future legal action impossible. Nguyen knew then that she had two options: surrender to a law that effectively denied her justice, or fight for change, not only for herself, but for survivors everywhere. So it is a memoir about her activism and her experience with assault, and it sounds really good. I bought this in New York City when I was there in April, and I've had it on my TBR, since before that. I was really excited about the release of this book, but I just haven't gotten to it yet, and I keep kind of putting it off for some reason. I guess because it's a nonfiction, so sometimes it feels harder to get into a nonfiction, but every time I read the description again, I think it sounds really, really good. So I am committing that I'm going to read this by the end of the year. And this one is more of an autofiction situation, but it is My Clavicle and Other Massive Misalignments by Marta Sands. This is translated from the Spanish, and it chronicles Marta's experience finding a lump under her skin by her clavicle. And in the aftermath of Marta's discovery, we realize that something fundamental has changed for her, and that whatever has happened, however elusive, it is something very real. At the same time, the mystery reflects in everything the author encounters, but especially the bodies of women, and especially women of a certain age. So like I said, it's autofiction, but it's pretty short and covers topics that I am very, very interested in, and I would like to finish this because I am working on a recommendation video about books about chronic pain, so that will be coming out hopefully soon, but I would like to wrap this one up. That is the last book I have to read for that video, so yeah, that is a priority read as well. Okay, this one is my December book club book, and it is a reread, and that is Pew by Catherine Lacey. I've talked about this one several times on my channel, and that I really want to finish it by the end of the year because it is my December book club book, but it is about a town in the American South where a person shows up on a church pew, and the people in the town don't really know what to do with this person because they are sort of genderless and ethnically ambiguous, and the people cannot categorize them. So they start to believe that Pew, which they end up naming this person Pew because the person doesn't speak, they sort of assume Pew is either an angel or a devil, and it's a really interesting look at the faulty tools that society uses to categorize people. So I'm really looking forward to revisiting this. I haven't read it in several years, and I think it'll really resonate at this point even more. So yeah, very excited about this one. Okay, last couple of books. This one is The Hunger We Pass Down by Jen Sukfong Lee. This is one of my most anticipated releases that came out this fall. It follows a single mom, and she is really struggling with her work and her children and keeping up with everything. And one day she wakes up and all of her tasks around the house are done, and she does not know how or why, but she tries not to think about it too hard because it gives her extra time to focus on her kids. But there is possibly something sinister lurking under the surface, and the book is kind of talking about generational trauma that is passed down between women. So it could be going in a horror direction. So when I heard about this one, I knew I had to get it right away. I pre-ordered it. I was very, very excited, and I would like to read this one to complete a project about mothers and daughters. So hopefully that will be coming out soon, as soon as I get to finish this one. Okay, the second to last one is I Want to Go Home, But I'm Already There. This was another anticipated release of this year for me, and it is one of the books that I put on my 25 books to read in 2025 list, so it would be great if I get to finish this. It's sort of a haunted apartment type of book where you're not sure if it's the apartment that's the issue or the relationship between the two main characters. It sounds incredible, and I was so excited about it when I heard about it, and then I got it and then never read it. So I'm hoping to bring this one on vacation with me as well, and I am very, very excited to read it. And then my final pick for this TBR is Herculean by Grace Byron. This is a recent release as well from this fall, and it wasn't really an anticipated release. I didn't know about it super far in advance, but I heard about it online and then ran to my bookstore to grab it. The cover is absolutely beautiful. It's one of my favorite covers of books that I've gotten this year. It's got some religious horror vibes, some cult vibes. It's about a trans girl who is kind of going through the typical hallmarks of a trans sob story. That's what the description says. And she's living in New York City, and her ex has this commune that she has created in rural Indiana and invites our main character to live there. And when she gets there, things are weird, and she is haunted by some sleep paralysis demons, and things just spiral out of control from my understanding. So I was very excited about it when I heard the description and saw the cover. It's so beautiful. But yeah, this one is not really for anything specifically, just one of the ones that I'm most excited to read right now. So it's probably going to be my next read. Okay, those are all of the books that I have talked to you about today. Those are all the books that I hope to read by the end of 2025. Is this a little bit unrealistic? Possibly, but I'm feeling hopeful because 16 books to read in a month and a half, I could do it. It's doable. Let me know what you're excited to read for the rest of the year. And if you've read any of these books, let me know what you thought of them. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.